I know what scene you're talking about, and exactly, yeah.
Yeah, our theater lost it
It
during
was
one scene.
so funny, though. It was such a clean moment. Well, not really
Yeah, not
clean,
quite clean.
but
Hello and welcome to Cassette Take, where you can eject wherever you want, but please don't forget to rewind. I'm Ethan.
I'm Annmarie.
And Annmarie, what we just hop on over from our last review to this review and ended up seeing?
Hoppers. Yes. Oh, man. I've been hearing so much about hoppers. There's so much happening in the Pixar world. If you don't remember, I think last year we really talked about how Pixar has been failing and what they can do better. And, we talked about Bean Mouth a little bit. And we even mentioned hoppers being like, we're not sure if this is going to do well. The marketing's kind of bad for it. You guys, this is a fun movie.
Yeah, it's straight up a fun movie. I had a blast with it. I mean, Pixar, I think for the most part, has been on the up and up recently. They had a little bit of a dip with Elio, but other than that, they've been on the up and up. And I think this movie kind of continues that up projection. Have they been like on that same level as they used to be, like where they were the creme of the crop? I wouldn't say they're quite back there yet, but I think they're darn close because you go to that theater, it was filled, it was packed. I mean, man, there were kids everywhere. There were
Yes.
families everywhere, people of all ages.
I think we remember Pixar because we grew up in the Pixar golden age where we had all these incredible original movies. And then Pixar became sequel land. And then we got some good and bad sequels. And now we're kind of back to the Pixar OG land a little bit.
Again, like any other Disney IP that was hit with the Chapek era, it had its big dip and now it's kind of on the upward projection way. Of course, during, your little rising action here, you do have some dips, again, like we mentioned with Elio, but it's still in that upward projection for a lot of them, like Marvel, hopefully with Lucasfilm coming around the corner, now with Pixar. So hopefully this is a continuing trend, but, at this point where we're at in time, Hoppers is that new beat that we are at, directed by Daniel Chong, who, if you don't know, was I believe, the creator of a little Cartoon Network show called We Bare Bears.
Which I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, We Bare Bears is a funny little show about three little bears. They're just doing things and hanging out and vibing. Like it's a fun, cute little show. I watched it here and there. Now it was kind of a little past my time of the Network era that I grew up with, but it was still there where I was like peeking around Cartoon Network as I was on my way out. But yeah, it's still a fun little show, and I can tell that with quite a bit of the humor that this was the same guy.
Yeah, it was super fun to go see this because, to be honest, the marketing was not very good for this. I was like, oh, Pixar's just doing Over the Hedge. I'm shocked I was able to pull that out of my brain. That was a movie
I'm like,
so long ago.
That is definitely a great comparison.
Yes. I was like, oh, it's Over the Hedge. And in a way, yes, but it has its own twist on it. You have a main character named Mabel who discovers this technology called hopping, and she becomes a beaver and basically lives in the animal kingdom. And it's really cute. I will also say, I think it's one of the funnier Pixar films.
Yeah, and I'll actually kind of go against you a little bit in regards to the marketing. Maybe with the first trailer, yeah, I would agree with where you're going with that with Over the Hedge. But as it proceeded, I'm like, okay, good. I like how they're leaning into the family, like this is for the whole family aspect of Pixar rather than just for like, let's show a bunch of flashy imagery for the kids and, just get their attention and treat it like any other animated film. As it went on, it felt like they were leaning more into like, well, here's some jokes for adults, here's some jokes for the kids, and then like everything in between. And I feel like that's where Pixar really hits its stride, is when they lean into like, this is for the whole family. And as you're watching this movie itself, they do deliver on that. There's so many jokes, there's so many sincere moments where things just line up to where everyone can appreciate it. there was a kid on the way out of our theater that I was just like, "No, the movie's still going. I need to see everything in the movie," like, while the post-credit scenes were showing up, but it really goes to show, like, how much these movies mean to people when it really speaks to everyone in the family.
Yeah, and I think that's the other good thing about Pixar is adults can enjoy this too. It wasn't just for little kids, which not every movie is made for just little kids, but some are just directed towards them. And so I think this is one of the better ones where I was like, "Oh yeah, even as like an adult, I really enjoyed this film."
Yeah, and there were some levels where you're just kinda like, "This is a Pixar movie, not a Disney animation film."
Oh, Zootopia and Hoppers are completely different.
I think Disney animation plays a little bit with, like, some darker aspects and dark
Mhm.
humor, but Pixar really leans more into it when it can, and I think it's all the better for it. The different stylizations between those 2 companies under Disney, I think is just a very interesting dynamic that they have going there.
I know what scene you're talking about, and exactly, yeah.
Yeah, our theater lost it
It
during
was
one scene.
so funny though. It was such a clean moment. Well, not really
Yeah, not
clean,
quite clean,
but
but Anne-Marie, we've been talking so much about just, like, how much we really enjoyed this movie. What is it about?
it's about a character named Mabel who has a connection to the environment through her grandma. And unfortunately, she has been arguing with the mayor about a new railroad that's going to be set up, highway. And she finds this technology that allows her to become a beaver and communicate with the other animals.
In essence, if you want a basic gist of the summarization here, Ferngully meets Avatar.
Yes, which I love that that joke is in the trailer, but that joke in the movie is super funny too.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I mentioned Ferngully 'cause, you got little differences here and there, but together, Ferngully, Avatar, boom, this movie with the little fun quirks.
It was so cute though because I think as well like Pixar does really well with messaging too and how we as humans are a part of the animal kingdom too and we have to work to coexist with animals. I thought was a really like nice message, especially with so many young kids there that are soaking up so much of it.
Yeah, and something I really appreciate about this movie, playing off of that, is how a lot of movies just kind of view things in black and white of like,
Mhm.
this is good, this is bad, and we want the good to win. And, in essence, in like superficially, yes, that's always a good mentality. But like in regards to reality, of what is good, what is bad, and how do we resolve it, like, in regards to what actually is good and what actually is bad. There's a lot more nuance to it, and I think this movie deals with that nuance quite well, and the way it resolves that with the nuance in mind is just I think is something I can really appreciate, and I wanna see more movies get behind.
Yeah, it's not just like pointing the finger and being like, you're bad or you're bad. Everyone works together in the pond, basically. And
Pod rules.
pond rules. That was a funny joke too in the film. I won't even lie.
Yeah. And there's plenty, plenty, plenty of Pixar Easter eggs or hidden.
So many.
Yeah, it's just insane. Like I always love a good Pixar Easter egg. And I remember like there were always like a few here and there that you would see, but like this movie is filled with them. And there are a couple that I really do appreciate when they are brought
Hmm.
up at the forefront. Also, side note, definitely stay after the credits for the post-credit scene. It's truly a
There's
really nice.
two of
Yes.
them. Yeah.
There's 2 post-credit scenes, one's mid, one's the final post-credit scene. All of them are definitely worthwhile, especially if you ended up enjoying the movie.
Hmm.
There's no guarantees you will, but we enjoyed it, so most likely you probably will.
Yeah, definitely. I'm interested to see how well this does because yes, our theater was packed and we're putting this out next week, but we're seeing it Friday night, so it came out last night. And so I'm wondering how well it will do because me and you disagreed on this, but I clearly see that there could be a Hoppers too, and you're kind of hesitant on that.
Well, I mean, I would say it depends on how it does at the box office more than anything else, like any other movie, but story-wise, like, strictly just looking at the story, I mean, sure, you might be able to, but, like, I just think it's just kinda like the whole thing of Hoppers is what Hoppers is, and without
Mhm.
giving anything away, it's just I don't really see how you could continue that with those characters that we all had fun with. If there's a way where this movie makes, like, Inside Out money, then yeah, you find a way to make it work, like, to make a sequel. That's the business sides of things, you know? As a creative myself, I'm always more of a story first, but, like,
Yes.
listen, man, if it makes money, you gotta find a way to make more money, like, it
Yeah.
in this grand scheme of the entertainment world, so
I think there is something there if they wanted to. But again, I don't know how well this is going to do. Yes, we're praising it, but I still think there's stuff to smooth out a little bit
yes.
because I was really digging it. And then a certain part came up. And I know it's a kid's movie. You suspend your disbelief. But I was like, oh, we're going in this direction. Oh, okay. Like, that's kind of interesting.
I know which part you're talking about,
Yes.
and I don't know, I feel like it fit the flow of the movie of, like, how because a lot of Pixar movies recently have been a little more down to earth or realistic. They've had, like, futuristic or I'm sorry, sci-fi fictitious stuff that's, like, been out there that's like, "Okay, you know, I believe it more because it's animation." But, you know, it's still pretty, again, down to earth and grounded. And this one, it has elements of that, yes, but there's some stuff that they do where it's like, "Oh, wow. Well, that definitely is not realistic." And it's animation,
Yeah.
but, you know, here, just how the movie plays on itself and the way it goes about certain actions and how certain physical comedy works and just certain mentalities of this movie. It just I don't know, I felt like it just meshed well, especially when everything's kinda coming to a head. You want it to be like, "This is the best we can offer in this moment." I feel like with all the weirdness that this movie has to offer for better or worse, I think it just kinda worked in that regard, where it's kinda part of that great payoff.
Yeah, I disagree. I think it was just a little too wacky, but again, it's a kids movie at the end of the day. I still think it's really well written, and especially the ending where it felt like such a momentum ending that really circled it up really well. And so I think that's just something that I really respect about Pixar too. But it did definitely get wacky at a certain point.
Oh, it was wacky pretty throughout. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, the concept itself is wacky, and once she enters the Hopper mentality world or whatever you wanna call it, Beaver Avatar, it most certainly gets it's sincerely wacky. So, I don't know, I felt like it was just kinda like the next level of wackiness with that moment you're speaking of. But when it comes to Hoppers, I don't think that it's something that really hit as much emotionally as a lot of other Pixar movies have hit emotionally for me,
Mhm.
like, say, on the level of a Coco. I saw that they were trying to draw on some of that in certain moments, but at least this is for me personally. It just didn't hit me in that same way that I feel like the movie wanted it to hit me. So, I think that maybe it could have stepped it up in that regard, but other than that, you know, it's, I'd say a pretty fun movie all around.
I have to think about it a little bit more if it would end up in my top 10 favorite Pixar films. It probably would be around that 10 spot. It might be 11 or 12 because I agree with you. Pixar has done incredible stuff. Listen, it has one of my favorite movies of all time, The Incredibles. I love both Inside Out 1 and 2. We both really connected to Inside Out 2. And so I agree with you. I think the emotional elements, because that's what Pixar is good at, as we all know. Pixar loves to make us cry. I'm looking at you up. But I think, yeah, I agree. It like was trying to pull Coco's a great comparison. It was trying to pull from there.
Yeah, I think maybe and this might go back to what you were saying about the wackiness of it. Not necessarily the fact that it was wacky and the level of wacky, but just I think that if they were to have put a little more time away from that wackiness and maybe or not even take it away from the wackiness, but maybe focus more on the emotional aspect before quickly cutting away to the wacky.
Mhm.
Because it felt like there were quite a few moments where they had those times to breathe and beat, and they do that here and there, but I feel like there were certain times where I'm like, "Let's stay here a little longer, like, just
Yes.
maybe a couple beats longer." There are moments I'm not gonna take away from it, there are moments throughout the movie where they do that, but I feel like if they did that a little more consistently, then it would have landed a lot better for me on that emotional level that they want me to get to as an audience member.
Mhm.
But yeah, at the end, it's not like it took away from the movie at all for me to the point where I'm like, don't go see it because it's not gonna make you cry or anything, stupid baby. No, I still enjoy it quite a bit, and I'm so happy I got to see it, and I would absolutely watch it again with my family,
Oh, yeah,
given the
absolutely.
chance. You were talking about like where you would put this in regards to your favorite Pixar movies. Do you think this would make your top 10? Do you think it would just, be towards the end of things? Where would you put it?
It's so hard because I'm trying to remember all the Pixar movies because there was a period, the Chapek period, where a lot of the Pixar films did come out on Disney Plus. Soul, Turning Red, just to name a few. And those movies, I stand by, are great films, and it sucks they didn't get to see the light of day. At that moment, Chapek was focusing on Disney animation, which is whole nother tangents, basically. I think if I was gonna realistically write it out, it probably would be like 11 or 12, to be totally honest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because like, you have The Incredibles, you have both of the Inside Outs, you have Soul, you have Turning Red. There's so many that I just don't know if it would make it into the 10 spots.
No, I completely get where you're coming from on that because Pixar, it's no fault of their. It's kind of like that viewing that we keep talking about of like Avatar: The Last Airbender, right?
Mhm.
Everything in that show is great, but we all know there is a least favorite episode. Not saying we didn't like the episode, but there's a least favorite.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I get where you're coming from on that. I would put Hoppers probably smack dab in the middle of level of Pixar enjoyment, like just kind of like right there.
Yeah.
Not maybe teetering on that top 10 maybe, but like you kind of more in the 12 to 15, 16-ish. So, I mean, I can't remember how many Pixar movies. I
I
used to
know.
remember all of them, like, just lining up. I remember the VHS tapes lining up in this little cabinet my family had, and we would just, like, always count, and my brother and I would always just be like, "All right, can you say, like, what the Pixar movies are, like, in order, like, what year they came out and everything," and just God, what a time. But now
Now
it's just we lost track of everything.
now how does Hoppers fit into the Pixar theory? Someone find that out for me.
Pixar theory.
Do you not know about that?
There's so many theories. Which one's this?
Oh man. Oh, Ethan, I'll teach him, you guys, that all the Pixar movies are connected.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, with, like, the Easter eggs and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, no, okay, yeah, this definitely this one definitely plays into that. It's 100%.
You know what I was looking for? I don't know what Pixar has on docket, but they always make a reference to their future movies. And I was looking for something. I didn't find anything. So
Maybe with the emojis in the post-credit scene,
maybe
like, towards the end.
let us know in the comments down below if you spot it because I was looking. I was keeping my eyes peeled.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. There was so many things going on within the credits
Yeah.
and in the movie and everything. So, I mean, if you miss one thing in the background, you'll catch another, most certainly. Definitely a fun little Easter egg for Up. Absolutely. Like, be on the lookout for it because if you want to play into that Pixar theory, that one I think is going to be turning some heads.
Yes.
At the end of the day, Emery, we got to rate this thing. We got to
All
rate
right.
Hoppers. So,
Well, I'm so glad you're giving the rating scale because this was the hardest part of filming on my own. I was like, oh shoot, how does Ethan do this right on top of his head?
oh gosh, it takes a terrible brain, an absolutely terrible, non-functioning, inconsistent brain.
So 1 out of 10.
So, Amory, out of 10 beaver, or no, wait, hang on,
Okay.
I got this. Out of 10 fun little oils that come out of beavers,
Ew.
vanilla scented oils.
I did not know this fact. Now I can never look at it the same. So out
How,
of 10, I'm gonna give You know what? I'm gonna go higher than I thought I was gonna go. I'm gonna go 8.
8?
I really did enjoy it. I did think this movie was hilarious at certain points, and it really did surprise me. I did not know if this was gonna be good. I've been hearing it's good, and so I was like, "All right, Ethan, double feature, why not?" And I enjoyed it overall. I think this is a cute movie that is perfect for adults and kids. And you know what? Pixar is heading back to the right spot. They have a lot of competition now, but hey, if they can put out stuff like Hoppers and Out too, I really think they can take back their throne.
Yeah, because right now it's sticking between DreamWorks, Disney Animation, and Sony Animation right now.
Yeah.
They're the ones kind of dueling it out. But who knows? I'm not sure if they're gonna be able to do it this movie, but
You never know.
yeah, well, we'll see what the audiences think. But what Ethan thinks is I'd have to give it an 8 out of 10 as well. I thought it was a really fun, quirky movie with all the wackiness that gets you on board with the wackiness, at least from my thought process. Gets you on board with the wackiness from beginning to end. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it and looking forward to seeing what Pixar has next. Gotta say, the only small critiques I have with it is just I wish it played more into the emotional level,
Mhm.
at least meet me where I was at. But that's just a subjective point. I'm sure there are some people, one of you guys out there that it hit you right, and for me it just didn't hit me that same way. But yeah, other than that, I give it an 8 out of 10. Highly would recommend for a good family outing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, guys, that is Hoppers. We want to know what you think about it. You've heard what we said, but we want to hear your takes on our tapes in those comments down below. So, again, let us know your takes down there, and we're happy to look forward to them.
Yay!
So, guys, thank you again for joining us on this episode of Cassette Take. We hope you haven't ejected thus far into the podcast, but whether you have or haven't, please don't forget to rewind, and most importantly, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the classic YouTube vernacular that helps keep us alive and helps keep this conversation going. I've been Ethan,
I'm Annmarie.
and we're hopping out to our next review.
Yeah.